Hi, I'm Sean.
I'm Jalina.
I'm British.
American. We just bought a house in the Loire Valley in the center of France, and we're going to be renovating it. It's about 300 years old. It's a wreck, and it'll be so much fun making it a home. Hi there, Jalina here. Just want to tell you everything that we managed to accomplish.
Bonjour!
So our house is kind of funky, you know. On the outside, it looks like a tall, 4-story, narrow townhouse. The first thing we started with was the front entranceway. We knocked down the wall that divided the living room from the foyer. So the front entrance was really narrow and unwelcoming, and the walls on either side of it were scratched and gouged and just horrible. So we knocked those down, and by doing that, we could see the entire living room. So before, it was like super cramped and sort of dark, and the living room was in this tiny little door, which is one of the reasons I really don't mind knocking down all these walls. If anything, I wanted to make the house seem smaller, because I mean, it's just the two of us. So I mean, really, we don't even really socialize or like throw gala cocktail parties or anything like that. We are basically focusing on knocking down walls in the living room. When we first moved in, it was really boxy, and the rooms were really small and dark. What we wanted was a city loft living warehouse feel, and we wanted to just knock through the entire downstairs so that the sunlight can flood through the entire space, and so that we could have really high ceilings and exposed rafters.
Yeah, when we first moved in, there was a wall here that we knocked down, and the door was here through into the lounge. We got rid of that, and then there was another hallway here, so you can imagine how narrow our hallway was.
I was doing some freelancing work in Amsterdam, and I love to go to this cafe called Pluk. It was wonderful. It was so airy and light, and it had a parquetry floor and mirrors. I was so in love with it that we sort of vowed to make our home a bit like Pluk, with our own sort of influence thrown in, of course. And now looking back at these pictures of Pluk, we're astounded at how much our place sort of does look like it. Editing is so difficult. Oh my god. Like, the first video, I think I spent like, it's so embarrassing to admit this, like 80 hours or something trying to get everything to line up right and to tell a story. Oh my god. Like, awful. But I learned so much from that one. And so this one's easier, but by no means easy. Oh my goodness. Like, I think I actually had a nightmare about it last night. I was just so nervous about getting it all right. But you know what? Like they say on Think Media, well, the guy on there says, just do it. Do it before you're ready. Just have your videos suck. I guess the key here is just to not be a perfectionist, not try to woo you guys and impress anybody. It's just about sharing our house, really. The house is the star of the show. You know, I promise you guys I'm going to learn along the way, but my top priority, of course, is renovating the house. So this is what it's like living in a half-demolished property. Our room upstairs is much more cozy than this. Like, look at everything is just like a book on Picasso and a giant-ass trowel. Like, nothing really makes all that much sense. Bags of sand and mortar, the Mark Twain book from my dad, a candle holder without a candle, a laptop with dust all over it, a phone we never use, and bags of mortar, and etc. And everywhere we like to accessorize with piles of rubble. We have been looking for the perfect armchairs for our living room. The living room is quite large, so a lot of them just didn't fit. We really needed something large to hold the room in place, kind of. And but they were also expensive, like, I don't know, like hundreds of dollars used each. So we were really waiting to find like the perfect deal. A couple of days ago, we found the most beautiful chairs that, well, to buy them new, they're about 600 each. We got them for 30 euros each. Everything here is so inexpensive. Like, I think the French are just so accustomed to having so many beautiful antiques and so much history that it's not even a big deal to them. Like, lucky for us, we get to inherit all of these wonderful treasures that, well, like this house, for instance. Like, we can't even believe they let us live here. How can that even be possible? This whole house should be cordoned off like a museum. But here, every house in town is equally amazing and equally old and usually in better repair. Because, I mean, come on, our house was so cheap, like it was falling down. And most of the glory, you know, most of its mystery and most of its treasures were hidden under centuries of, you know, wallpaper and cement. And we really had to go in there and like rip shit down. The wallpaper that was up there had a newspaper from the 1920s behind it. And before that, there was another wallpaper. And before that was another wallpaper. And then before that was cement. And then the stone, right? So the stone was from the medieval days. So people have been covering this tower up for hundreds and hundreds of years.
When we bought our home and introduced ourselves to the mayor at the town hall, we were told that there is something special about our house. Jalina said, "Oh, please tell us it is something magical," whilst I said, "Oh, not haunted, I hope." At this point, the local historian drew a plan of our house in relation to the old defences of the town and showed the road behind us was originally a moat, and our tower was part of the medieval fortifications. To help illustrate, here are some drawings of a similar style of fortification at our neighbouring town of La Roche-Posay. Thankfully, our home doesn't need defensive walls, as all of our visitors are friendly. Most welcome of all is our friend from the town hall when he brings us a bottle of champagne on New Year's Eve. This is truly the best village we could have moved to.
I'm just having coffee in bed at the moment, and I wanted to share some of the wallpaper samples we found. We found all this old amazing wallpaper from the Victorian day. Just look at how beautiful this is. Can't stand it. I think I might frame this, just this little piece here, like this, and this together. It's just so beautiful. I can barely stand it. Oh, let's see. So that's all those. And then this here was the wallpaper from the ladies' changing room, the modesty room. So in France, back in the day, apparently, bedrooms used to have a little changing cupboard for women so that they could get changed in and out of their nightgowns so that their husbands couldn't see them, which I think is so cute. And here is a little bit of the wallpaper from the bedroom. This here is much more bright. Up close, it actually looks pretty cool, I have to say. But it's just that the entire bedroom was made with it. It was, oh my God, it was truly like walking into a bad trip. But this is actually quite stylized and beautiful. And this was actually part of the wallpaper that we took off of the tower in our bedroom. This lovely flower design. is different from this more plain geometric design. It's all a mystery. In the Victorian era, a lot of wallpaper was hand painted. And this actually appears to be one of those. It could have been hand painted actually. We also found this lovely old Art Nouveau wallpaper in the studio of the old lockmaker, the locksmith who used to live here. I'm so in love with it. I'm definitely going to frame this beautiful flower. One of our subscribers named Janice very kindly suggested that I frame a bit of the old wallpaper, so I'm doing it. Thank you, Janice. I also used it as inspiration for this piece of artwork. If you look closely at the headdress of the woman, you can see a flower. It's the same exact flower. So I wanted to incorporate it somewhere in a modern work of art. So that was really fun. So we've been looking for a new door, well, a new antique door, an old French door, you know, with the handmade, hand-wrought iron filigree, you know, in the windows. But usually these doors are like 300 euros, so it's just completely prohibitive. And then I found one for 90, just 90 euro. It just meant that we had to take a road trip to the beautiful city of Angers, and it was a blast. So we got to go for a song, and even with petrol thrown in, we still managed to save quite a bit of money and get the door of our dreams, which to me is really symbolic, you know, but building a home together and having a door that represents the fact that you'll be living there forever. For somebody who's so nomadic, who's had such a nomadic sort of lifestyle as I have, it's unbelievable, really, that I would be able to buy a door and just know that it's going to be there forever and it'll be mine forever. And it really blows my mind. Bonjour.
Bonjour, madame.
Oh my God, I just love the windows. I've never had a door with opening windows before. It's so fucking great. This is my home, damn it. I'm never leaving it. Don't even ask me to. Here's Sean whistling.
Always whistle at work. Good morning, everybody.
That's how I know it's him coming up the street and knocking on the door. He always sings Mozart's, what is it? Oh, he always whistles the magic flute. And then I know it's him and I answer the door. Otherwise, I'm just not a door answerer. It's our secret code.
I was just thinking that if when the house was originally built 300 years ago, it was made as one big room, and when we bought the house, it was divided up into all these small rooms. So intuitively, I think we both realised that the template underneath, in its very purest form, was what we needed to bring the house back to make it both what we wanted as a vision of lofty open space living with an atelier, perhaps art gallery feel.
What we wanted to do was to strip it back so that the house could go back to how it was in the 1700s, 1800s. Our goal was to strip it all down to stone and wooden rafters. So, and that took forever. So I've come pretty far in getting the plaster and wallpaper off of the screen here. It's looking 50-50. But as you can see, there's still a million little pieces of wood that the previous owner has nailed into it to put the plaster on. And so I'll just keep going and yanking those out. I have to admit, I really love working with walls. It makes me feel like a badass. And there are immediate results, you know, like tangible, visible results. And it's a great outlet for frustration. You can just go crazy and make a mess. So there's a mountain of rubble and stone and brick out there. Our neighbors must love us.
Fucking toe.
And now for a medieval poem song. I have heard it said that in Puy-sur-Claise there's a house with a medieval tower, and a couple who dare to renovate with care, every day, every minute, every hour. Fa la 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 la. Oh.
So, we've decided to take the day off today. We've been working way too hard on the house, and it's become the focal point of our entire existence.
Well, if you take the tower in the bedroom, which was covered in the most horrendous wallpaper, and then behind that you've got a layer of plaster which is about that thick, full of fluff and straw and matted hair, and then behind that there is stonework that's mottled and dishevelled and crumbling. We stripped the paper off and stripped all the crumbly plaster away, and we just stared at this tower for quite some time, not knowing quite what to do with it. And eventually you bite the bullet, and we know roughly that you can take the lime out from between the bricks.
We were so
and
scared
refill
though.
it.
We were scared that if we started digging the old mud out from between the rocks, that the entire house
The tower would come
tumble.
down,
Like,
yeah.
Don't collapse on us, tower.
I think we are the only human beings alive who have seen the secret doorway in the medieval tower. It's the same within the living room, that large stone wall that spans the entire length of the living room. We were so frightened. We kind of thought that if we took one little bit of sand out, like we'd have a whole...
Oh, we'd be looking at the neighbours.
So this is a little cartoon we made for our neighbor when we were working on the wall finally, because we were so afraid that we really would break through and find ourselves in his hallway, and that he would hate our guts. So we left him a little note apologizing in advance if we happened to tumble through his wall into his entranceway. And it says in broken French, "Oh, hello, monsieur. I hope we have not disturbed you." And then we say to each other, maybe we should leave the village right away. I'm having a love affair with stone. Our next door neighbor was kind enough to give us instructions for creating lime render and what to buy in the French bric-a-marche. It was so incredibly sweet of him. He actually called in his stonemason friend, who is also a nuclear scientist at CERN in Switzerland. So part-time nuclear physicist, part-time stonemason. Oh yeah, we're using a pot of creme fraiche because we don't have the right measuring tools.
3 of sand.
Red sand, three parts red sand and
2 of, don't breathe it in.
the chaux, C-H-A-U-X, that means lime, and it's NHL 3.5.
2 of those. 3
So he's doing 6 containers of red sand and 2 of the lime for a 1-to-3 ratio, which is what everybody recommends. And it works beautifully. It's crazy how amenable it is, even in our hands with absolutely zero experience. We were really scared going into it, thinking that there was just one correct consistency, one correct mixture, temperature, yada yada, but really you can just do just about anything and it works great.
There we go. a little fork.
Yeah, get one of those little hawk surfaces. We got ours at Emmaus for like 10 cents. We got all of our tools at Emmaus, the charity shop. The most important thing I would say is to thoroughly wet the stone before you apply the lime mortar, or else the stone is so dry it will suck all the moisture out of the lime before it's supposed to dry naturally, and that will form cracks. As you can see over here, we do not have any cracks from our work, so we're feeling very smug.
Just up against that and press it in.
Yeah, and that's it. Easy peasy.
We love it.
When you have an old stone house and you fill it with the walls with concrete and wallpaper, the house can't breathe, and so that's very, very bad. And then you have moisture, you have mold. So today Sean cleaned up the whole left strip of the wall. He got all that old orange kind of mud out from between the rocks. So it's just rocks with nothing holding them together, no mortar. And now he's adding back some lime and some sand. Basically, once it dries a little bit, we go in with a wire brush and sort of wipe a lot of it away so that you can see the stones better. And then we allow it to dry the rest of the way. And then you have a wonderfully lime-pointed wall.
Is this how you do it?
See, life imitates art.
So that whole undone area to the right that Sean's working on used to be a doorway that went out into a little alleyway or little road to the side of our house. But our neighbor had us over for wine the other day. His house shares this wall with ours. And he told us that there used to be a little road there, and that his entrance hallway was the road. It was turned into his entrance hallway. As I was saying, Sean's a very silly goose.
Hello everybody, we just like to say how much we do appreciate all your wonderful comments and all your support. We are so appreciative of how popular this video has suddenly become. It's quite touching. We've opened up a link in our description where you can buy us a coffee, though in truth we'll probably spend the money more on building materials.
Everybody's been so supportive and so interested in what we're doing. It really gives us so much energy and inspiration, and the comments you guys have been leaving us have just been absolutely amazing. Oh my goodness. Some of them I actually copy out longhand in my journal so that I can look back at them when I'm like 80 years old.
Yes, thank you. Remember to hit the like button and subscribe and visit us again in sunny France.
I feel like I'm doing an Oscar speech. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. So, family and friends, it was emotional and a great experience filming this movie. And what can I say?